must realize you are doomed.
Welcome, everybody, to the Scoundrel podcast. In this segment, we like to call Extremely Late Reviews. And this one, Richard picked out. He picked The Truman Show, 1998, starring Jim Carrey and Ed Harris. Before we get started, though, please, if you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Okay, we got a good panel here today. We got Vic, Jared, and Rich, and we're going to review The Truman Show, 1998. First question, guys. Did you guys see this roughly when it came out? And did you guys recently watch it for this review?
I did not watch it when it first came out. It actually took me a while to watch it, but whenever I did, I fell in love with it. I've always been a big Jim Carrey fan. And seeing him in this type of, I'm so used to him doing comedies. Seeing him do this type of role, which is, a little comedy and very serious. It took me a while to watch it, and I did recently watch it about like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, for me it was. Oh, go ahead, Jared. For me it was. We actually. The teacher in my junior high put it on for everybody to watch, and I thought that was awesome. I think we were reading The Giver at the time, and maybe they didn't have that movie or something. They were like, "This is similar." It was between that and Pleasantville or whatever.
Pleasantville.
But yeah, we watched it then. You never forget it. And I just recently watched it like an hour ago. So
This is like a movie that's just like always been like in my memory. Like I don't remember when I like first saw it, it's kind of like Jurassic Park, stuff like that. It's just like always there. And also I probably watched it in a high school probably like 2 or 3 times too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you guys, I only saw this once when it first came out, and I remember the basis of it. And then recently, since we're doing the review, I watched it this past week. And and I figured out why I only watched it this one time before this recently past week. But we'll get into that.
No.
We'll get into
I can't wait. I can't wait.
We'll get into that a little later. So Jim Carrey is actually playing a slightly serious role. We always see him in comedies mostly. So I'll start with, it's going to go in order is Rich, Vic, and Jared. The normal order. I'm sorry. So. Did you guys kind of knew what it was, what it was about before you even watched it? And let's just hit it with Jim Carrey, his acting on here. Did you guys appreciate his acting? And did you, do you think this is his better performances?
I didn't know anything about the movie before I watched it. I didn't watch a trailer or anything. I just went straight into it and just gave it a shot. And I love Jim Carrey's performance. Even just to kick it off, he's just so like, I don't know. He's so innocent. Like whenever, the environment that's around him, whenever he comes out, he goes, in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, good night. He's just so happy in this environment that he's around. And whenever those, he meets those 2 twins on the road and they push him against the billboard and you can see, they're trying to do an ad. He's just so playful. I loved even in like when the movie first started, he's just so innocent.
I think, we kind of knew what it was about just because, like I said, the first time I watched it was in junior high and we were reading The Giver. And if you know about that story, it plays along like similar tones. Mm-hmm. So becoming like self-aware of like reality or your perception of reality. And so I kind of got the gist of that from that book or that narrative. And then to speak on Jim Carrey's performance, half of it, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I watched it before, or maybe, I don't know. It's kind of like in between, like all these Jim Carrey movies are just so ingrained in my head, like Dumb and Dumber, The Mask. And there's these specific like Jim Carrey motions, like that he does, like the way he flails his body or like certain things that he does with his mouth or, like, okay, like, like stuff like that. Like it's half of that. And then you get to see his dramatic, emotional side that you're incredibly impressed by.
Yeah.
but it goes deeper than that because this movie is so metaphysical, and we'll talk about that later. So yeah, we can talk about that later, that metaphysical stuff.
Okay.
This is like hands down my favorite Jim Carrey movie. Like it's not even close. And I mean, I haven't seen
Eternal
the
Sunshine.
Pet Detective. No, the Pet Detective movies. I haven't seen those. So
Okay.
so like Jim Carrey to me is just like The Mask and then like Liar Liar and stuff like that.
Oh man.
but and I was like 7 years old when this movie came out, and I just like remember like always seeing it. So I don't really know like what I was like expecting going in.
Yeah.
But yeah, but this is like my favorite Jim Carrey movie though, like of all time. The Truman Show is one of my favorite movies of all time. So yeah, big fan.
Yeah. As far as Jim Carrey's performance, I put it up there with Mr. Popper's Penguin.
What? Oh
Yeah, that's how good it was for me. It really was.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Even when he had this little emotional state, and I'm not trying to make fun. This is just my opinion.
Gotcha,
I couldn't stop thinking of him as Ace Ventura in the tutu, doing slow motion replay for me.
That's one of the best parts.
I can't, I just can't.
Holy hell.
So he's definitely, his best performances. I mean, but I know you guys are gonna laugh even more. His best performances was the Riddler in Batman Forever. I mean, he was made for that damn role. I don't care what anybody says. There's no other Riddler, not even the original Riddler, could even handle what Jim Carrey did in that Riddler movie. Not Riddler movie, but Riddler in Batman Forever. But
Dave,
that's just
your
my
comment was
opinion.
good. His was better. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, he was born for that role.
He was.
That movie might have sucked ass,
Edward
but
Nygma.
his role was perfect to the T.
Enigma.
But anyways, I'm not gonna, diss on his acting and everything, and maybe because it was maybe hard for me to see him in a serious role for the first time,
Yeah.
or semi-serious. Maybe that's what it was. I've seen him so many comedies before. I've seen him in A Living Color all the time when that series was out. So I think that's what it was. It just took me out. I just couldn't. Some people you just can't take seriously when you see him in so many comedies, and I think that's what it was for me. And as far as my opinion goes, I just couldn't stop thinking about the humor and the comedy.
I feel the same way as you, Dave. I think it wasn't until I was like way older, like 18 or 19, that I rewatched it. Like that I gained an appreciation for his acting in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Like even the way that movie opens up with him crying and driving, I still wanted to laugh just because you're so used to Jim Carrey's facial expressions and how funny he can be. So even then I remember just thinking like, he's crying, I should be like tied emotionally to this, or at least feeling, some sort of not, feeling like laughing, but I'm actually kind of still feeling like laughing just because it's Jim Carrey. But on the rewatch of Truman Show, as I stated before, like it's not just his acting, it's the metaphysical stuff that I want to talk about later.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I wanted to add to that too. This was the very first Jim Carrey movie I saw that was him not doing straight up comedy. So it was a little different for me too. But like I said, I loved his performance. It was kind of like whenever I was telling you guys when we did the review on WandaVision, the chick that plays Agatha Christie or Chris, whatever her name is. It took me. She didn't land with me because I'm so used to her doing comedies. There's just certain scenes from certain movies that just play in my head. Same thing with Jim Carrey, but his performance in this one was just so good. And then after this is what led me to watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, because I was like, he did a really good job on Truman Show. Let me see how he does with this one.
So you didn't watch the number 23?
I saw that in theaters.
That's a bad one.
Oh,
Me too.
no.
Did you really?
Me too, sadly.
So sad.
Me too.
Hey, hold on.
Uh-huh.
I gotta
Go
take
ahead.
this.
Well,
I gotta
Are you
pee.
kidding?
No, I'm serious. I gotta pee so bad.
He said, "Are you kidding?
Okay.
I've been chugging water like crazy.
Leave that on.
Cut it
Leave
out.
that on. Are you kidding?"
Go for it. Go for
I'll be
it.
back.
That is so funny.
All right, so yeah, that was Jim Carrey's performance. Is what we thought about that. Let's see. I also wanted to talk about, it was 1998. You know, we didn't have all the social media stuff like we do now. And so was it kind of groundbreaking thinking, hey, you know, let's have, because the story starts off with he's being filmed. Everything's being staged throughout his life since he was an infant. And he's being filmed and cameras on him everywhere throughout the whole show. And living in suburbia. And, you know, was it kind of groundbreaking, you thought, back in 1998? And how do you think it plays out to nowadays?
Well, yeah, like I said, I saw this movie way past, you know, when it first came out. So, I mean, I thought it was awesome how like they did the dome and everything. They didn't show much of it, like everything that it did. It just was like the normal world. Um, so it wasn't like groundbreaking to me whenever I first
No,
saw it.
okay.
For me, I think what was going on through my head, since it was 1998, right? The Matrix wasn't too far from that, and I don't think either was Dark City. And all of these movies have that commonality of questioning the perception of reality and what you know and what you don't know, and transcending it. And so to me, I was more focused on that. I was nowhere near thinking about like the technological aspect of, you know, like how groundbreaking it was. To me, it was more mind blowing, you know, to question everything. And when Ed Harris says that line, you know, like people just accept like what's in front of them. Like they just, I get it, you know, he's just kind of like throwing that out, but for the most part, it's kind of true. You grow up in a certain part of the world and you accept that that's like the way the world is. You make up stories about how certain groups of people are, or you have certain prejudices, or you have like down to like really weird details, like, you know, it's a Mercedes driver, of course they're gonna litter, or something, like, you know, just random stuff like that. And so yeah, to me it was more about like being mind blown about all that stuff. I never even once thought about the technology stuff, but now that you mention it, I think I did hear something about reality TV becoming like kind of like a big deal after this. I think I heard something like that, and that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Jared?
Yeah, like I don't know if this was before like reality TV. Like, was that like a mid like 2000s thing or something?
Yeah, I mean, there was like real world stuff that was reality TV, and maybe Survivor was right afterwards or something. You know, because I think that's what kind of started out the reality TV.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not quite sure 100% on that.
I think they just like nailed how, you know, how people like are like obsess over like TV shows. They talk about like a water cooler or something like that. They're just like a bar loaded with like people. There's a couple like security guards watching it, guy like laying in his bathtub watching it. So it's just like how we obsess like over these TV shows.
Yeah.
And even in like 1998 to now, it's still relevant.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that's a pretty like profound thing to like release in like 1998, and then like to this day we're still doing the kind of like same stuff.
Yeah, same kind of stuff.
Yeah, going back to what Jared was saying about how people were watching in bars and in the bathtub and stuff, I definitely would not have been one of those. His life did not seem interesting enough for me to watch like that. I mean, show me something real. Like Kendrick Lamar said, show me some stretch marks. Because this was so staged, like unbelievably staged for me.
Yeah.
Even it was just, this is just me, guys. Show me, you know, it is PG. Why don't you just made it PG-13? Get a little extra stories, interesting stories, exciting stories. I really didn't see him go out to bars and him having a good time and then having story time with his fellas, you know, getting some good juicy stories, or seeing him getting in his younger years, getting into some trouble, some decision makings, nothing like that. It was just it was very scripted, I guess. In that aspect.
I can add to what you're saying, because I am always a little tiny bit bothered by the fact that this story begins and ends with like seemingly like a mistake. You know, a giant lamp from the stage falls, you know, and it questions everything. And then seemingly everyone's trying to guide him in a certain way so that he won't figure out the what's going on.
Yeah.
So the majority of the film is based off of all the creators and producers and actors just trying desperately to get him to stop asking questions. So I see what you're saying. We
Mhm.
actually didn't get to see the life of Truman. We got to
Right.
see just at that point where everything kind of starts getting messed up,
Mhm.
So I see
Mhm.
what you're saying.
But I did like the other part of the picture as far as I mean, who doesn't feel like sometimes their life's being written or there's a camera behind it? Because crazy shit happens in my life. I ain't gonna lie. And I was like, this has to be a movie or it has to be a
Yeah.
TV series. The stupid stuff that happens to me. And
Yeah.
now with 2021, everybody has a camera on you now. I mean, even though you don't think so, everybody
Yep.
has a phone and it has a camera on them. I
Mhm.
mean, everything little thing you do now can be recorded and might be recorded without you even knowing.
Yeah.
So I kind of like how it shows through that how it progressed and nowadays in 2021
Yeah.
that who doesn't feel like somebody's got a camera on them sometimes,
Yeah.
like their life this has to be scripted because it's just too crazy for these things to happen.
Yeah.
But let me just ask you guys this: how did you guys feel about the script, and what was your favorite moments of this movie, Rich?
I thought the script was fantastic. And of course, my favorite is the ending, but I don't know if you want to talk about that now. We could wait till later. But the ending, I mean, the score, Philip Glass just nailed it with like the
Yeah.
emotional part. It's just him overcoming his fear of water that Christoph seemed to always want to re-implement in his head that you should be terrified of water. Like the scene whenever his coworker, his boss says, "Hey, they need you over to go to this place, but he has to get on a boat in order to do that." It just seems like they always made him fear water, and for him to overcome that, just so he can get out, because he believed what he thought, and he just overcame that, and that whole scene with the music and everything. I mean, that's overall my favorite.
And what you're saying, Trent, like that speaks to everybody. Everyone has to get past their fear to get to their goal.
Yeah.
Whether it's like stage fright or whatever it could be, becoming a YouTuber or, like you got to get past like these fears to
Yeah.
get to reality or your own reality where you control it.
Hmm.
So everyone's favorite part, I think, is going to be the ending because of just the cinematography, the hand on the wall. I mean, and it's like I said, it's crazy. The metaphysical stuff is so crazy because you're talking about Philip Glass, and we know that, right? But in the movie itself, they show that there are people playing these songs as these things are happening. They're
Yeah.
all manipulating us to feel that. That's how good Christoph is, or that's how good the direction of the Truman Show is.
Yeah.
That's why it's so cool. Like they're hitting us with the music, but we're perceiving it. We're getting lost in the movie, thinking it's the movie, but it's Christoph's world showing us that song at the end.
Hmm.
That's what's cool about it. And they deliberately cut to the pianist or whoever's doing the music
Yeah.
at points in the film to show you that. And even the camera angle is button cam 3, get this is our hero shot, like
Oh yeah.
they're
Yeah.
hitting, Christoph is hitting all of us with that. And
Mhm.
to say that Christoph is a bad guy, I know I'm going to go on a tangent, to say that he's a bad guy is kind of like duplicitous in a way because we enjoy his art too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the movie, when it starts, it says starring Truman Show, Christoph and whoever the lady is. I can't remember his wife's name, but I would be surprised if, our favorite part isn't the ending, because they just get you so lost in everything. They get you
Yeah.
completely believing in all of this when the only real thing is Jim Carrey trying to get out of this without the
Yeah.
music.
Mhm.
Even the waves are fake.
Yeah.
Like none of that stuff is real. It's really just him trying to leave.
I think the most fascinating part of this movie is when he's driving and then like the radio starts to say like where he's about to turn and what he's about to do and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just that going off script that just throws the entire world just like into a complete mess. He goes to work or like he walks like in like the wrong building and like the elevator's not even built yet or whatever. And then you have his a friend is just like stocking drinks and taking them out when he's not looking and then just like restocking them because they're all playing this perfect part and one thing just messes the entire world up.
Yeah.
And I've always just like been like fascinated like by that kind of stuff, just like throwing like a wrench into it.
And it kind of makes you question, like, because Truman is kind of like he's looking away as his friend's stocking drinks, like, and when you look away, what does somebody do? What does someone do behind your back? We could all be in that. That's why it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm like at work and my like boss like is looking at me, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again too. So I'm part of the problem.
You're part of the cast.
You're part of the cast.
What a weird insight.
You know what, guys? Before we get into the endings, I know that's probably the most interesting part of it. Does anybody got any questions or want them? Anybody got anything topic they want to hit on as far as this movie goes?
Well, I actually want to ask you, Dave, what was your favorite part? I know you said this movie didn't hit for you that much. Did you have a favorite part?
I did when the credits rolled.
Oh, God.
Sorry, man.
Yeah,
when he said good night, his final good night, that was my favorite part.
Oh my God. All right,
sorry.
Okay, let me backtrack a little bit. There are certain things where Christoph takes liberties for us to show us more of the movie because he throws in flashbacks for us.
Yeah,
he does that, and we get to see how he first met Sylvia. I forget, was that her name? I can't remember. She had two names.
Yeah, I think so.
So we get to see those flashbacks because of him. And it's like, maybe he always knows that that's what's kind of guiding Truman. But like I said, his art works on us because we get that emotional scene where, they're at the beach and the car comes. There's a guy that's claiming he's Sylvia's father.
Yeah.
And he just says the most heartbreaking things to him. She does this to everybody. She brings everyone down here, and that's so pure evil on Christoph's part. That along with, getting him scared of water, putting that Rottweiler in between him and the bridge that crosses to freedom. And the Rottweiler had like rabies. Like, that's so pure evil to me. All of this stuff. But at the same time, he thinks that this is like some sort of like utopia. He claims that the outside world is the evil place or whatever. But then there's another part of him where when the waves are coming at the end, I think Paul Giamatti or somebody says, you're going to kill him.
I was just about to
on
talk about
TV.
that one too.
And he goes, he was born on TV, wasn't he? Like, it's almost like he doesn't give a damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is he for the art, or does he actually care for Truman as a like father figure? That's kind of what I wanted to get to. What do y'all think about Christoph as what do y'all think his connection is to Truman? Does he see him as a father to a son, creator to a piece of art? What do y'all think?
I saw him as a creator to a piece of art. Even at the very end of the movie, he was trying to convince him to stay, even though Truman was just so close to exiting and getting out of there and seeing how the real world was. Because he even told him, he's like, there's nothing out there for you that you can't have here. He was trying to scare tactics into him about the real world. So I felt like it was more of a piece of art to a creator than a father, a father to a son and everything.
I thought it was like he was almost like scared to lose Truman. That made him angry because like Christoph, his whole life basically is Truman, like to the Truman Show. And when he was scared that like he was about to leave, he just went in full like freak out mode and was just like, all right, I'll end it then. Yeah. And like he has like a giant ego too. So there's just all these different things like came together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are right, but I actually thought it was more of a father-son type deal. What parent doesn't want to have everything perfect for their child? You know, that's what he brought to in I forgot what bay it was. What was it called? Sea Haven Bay, I think it was the city was called.
Hmm.
He wanted everything perfect for him, so he wouldn't have to worry. That's what he said. He didn't want Truman to worry about the outside, the real world. You know, all of us as well as parents, we want to protect our children from that. You know, we know they have to see it, but
Hmm.
we don't want them to see it because we want to protect our children. We want them to have a better life than we have previously. You know, and as far as the main stuff that he does, the cruel stuff. Hey, fathers are assholes. Tell me what
Yeah.
father isn't a goddamn asshole, and
Good point.
they always implement on their way, their way. Oh, my way is the best way, I mean, what father really doesn't do that?
Yeah.
They think they know what's best for their child. So that's how I kind of saw it as a father and son type deal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's me. Wait a second. Oh, anybody else got any questions
I do
or any
have one.
main topics? Go ahead.
Unless it's gonna. I don't know if this is gonna be your last one, but
No,
with
we're gonna
cheese.
talk about the ending right before we're
Okay.
done with ours. So we're gonna talk about the ending for sure.
Okay. So I did want to ask you guys, what was the funniest part to you guys? If I'm gonna say mine, it was whenever mid-crisis, the wife is promoting something, and he just goes,
Yeah.
"Who the hell are you talking to? There's nobody here. Who the hell are you talking to?" That part always gets me. I love that part.
I like when him and his wife are in the car like driving around. And he's like, "You go round and round, round and round." He's losing his mind. It's so good.
What about you,
Um,
Vic?
I like both of those a lot. Well, the one that you're talking about, Rich, I like it because it leads to it leads to his wife grabbing like these random cooking utensils, and
Yeah.
he's like, "What are you gonna do? Cheese grate me? Like, you gonna peel me?" Like, but
Yeah.
then, funniest part, surprisingly enough, it's funny to me, but I don't laugh at it, and I'll explain why. There's a neighbor that he has that picks up a trash can with the camera at like the beginning. He's kind of dressed like a golfer or something. He's got like these
Mhm.
plaid shorts and like a red like cardigan. Old man. So he's so friendly with Truman, right? But near the end of the movie, when you have every single actor on set looking for Truman, this guy has a rabid Dalmatian. Okay, talking about it out loud, it
Yeah.
makes me laugh. But he's got a rabid Dalmatian, and he's yelling, hunt him, Pluto."
Hunting Pluto.
I don't know
I
what
just
they did to that dog to
love,
make it do that,
I
but oh my
love
god.
that his name's Pluto, the most
Yeah.
kindest Disney dog ever, and the dog is just rabid.
I remember that scene you're talking about in the beginning where he jumps on Truman, and Truman's just like backed up into a corner. The dog's on him. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
dude,
about.
it's so funny to me. I don't know
I wonder
why.
if that is supposed to mean something like the inside they're all like just like doing this for their career and stuff. The outside they're all pretty and all like smiling and stuff.
I
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a follow-up question of what you're talking about, Jared, if you don't mind, Dave. I
No, go
wanted to
ahead.
actually talk about the second youngest, I believe, of the entire cast, which was his friend, because his friend reveals to us that he was a child actor from the age of 7 to Truman.
Okay.
But he like just kept going with it. He was like, screw it, like, do y'all think that he actually built like a camaraderie with him? Did he actually care about him?
It was hard to tell, honestly. Me and Dana had the same discussion when we watched the movie. It's like you couldn't tell if he even really cared about Truman. And when me and Darren talked, we were like, he had, yeah, the longest relationship with Truman since he was a kid and everything, or younger. But at no point in the movie did I see that he actually gave a crap about Truman. Anytime there was a crisis, he was the one to pop in. Hey, he always had a six pack with him. Hey, let's drink some brewskis. It just did never seem like he was on Truman's side. It was mainly about his career.
I didn't get a vibe that anyone really cared about Truman. Like even like his own mom is just like lying to his face for all these years. Like that's like
Yeah.
a trust you have with your mom, and your mom is just like continuing this like lie with everybody else. I don't think like anyone really had Truman through true
Best
like
interest.
they weren't they weren't really like looking out for him at all.
Yeah.
There might have been only a couple people.
Sylvia maybe.
I'm thinking that cop that stops them right before they get to like the forest fire, and he goes, "No problem, Truman." Like that
Yeah.
guy kind of maybe seemed like he would have cared about him because he used his
Yeah.
real name, like, or he
Or
gave up like the facade because I felt like he was trying to be amiable to him.
Mhm.
I also think that that could be like Truman's like a celebrity to some of these like outer limits people. So
Mhm.
maybe he just kind of like broke character for a second. It's like, oh my god, Truman's right here. That's
Yeah.
like what I've like always thought, like 7 years old.
And I think maybe also I always got the vibe that the bus driver was like really
Yeah.
heartfelt because he knows that it's like an act because he's sitting there shifting the gears and he's like,
Oh yeah.
hey, you know, and then the bus like starts steaming and he
Yeah.
knows Truman's back there at the back of the bus and he just goes, sorry son, like that acting was like way too genuine to me.
He's like he probably felt like, why am I doing this still?
Yeah.
I have some real quick too.
Go ahead.
So this movie takes place in a seaside Florida, and me and my girlfriend went there last year, and it looks exactly the same.
Oh shit.
Like they literally from 1998 to 2021, or it was 2020. It's like the same like pastel houses. We went to Truman's house, and it's the same color, the same mailbox, everything.
Wow.
Like the neighbor walked up and was like, "Oh, they're out of town right now. I can take a picture if you want." So we like got our picture taken like in front of Truman's house. The whole town
Whoa.
square was all the same. This like
Did you go round and round?
Seaside, yeah, we ran it up. Seaside is like literally just lifted from 1998 or who knows, maybe the 60s or something. But it's just it's crazy how it didn't change at all. It's
That's
so
super
nuts to me.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's only like a 10-hour drive. So I mean,
Only.
yeah, but I mean like in like half a day you can be like at Truman's house.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna go straight to the ending part. What do you guys think about the ending, and what is your final rating on this movie, Rich?
The ending was fantastic. Like I said, with the water, the whole boat scene gets you with the music, and not to add whenever, or I can't forget to add whenever Truman, the scene that Jared has right behind him, when you see the boat, like everything's calm, and you just see Truman just with a big smile on his face, just driving his boat, knowing that he made it, and then you see the front of the boat hit the wall like that. And the music where it's just dead silence. You don't hear anything besides the music. And you see Truman just banging on the walk and just in tears that he's just so close. And, you know, he doesn't know what the next step is. But to see him deny Christoph and with the same exact line he entered the movie with, if I kiss, I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, good night. That was just perfect. And you see Christoph like, you know, just grab his head like, I can't believe this is over. You know, it's all over. But it also shows at the end how quickly people lose interest, I guess, if something ends like that. Because remember the guys that were like, oh, all right, what else is on? Grab the TV guide. That was a big moment on TV. You know what I'm talking about? It's like something that I would compare to like, because I remember how hard Jared and Jake took the ending of Lost. And, you know, that was a big moment. That this whole Truman Show, that was a huge moment. And how quickly people just, I know it's just those two, but there was like, all right, what else is on?
I think it basically showed like every type of fan though. Like it shows them just like flip the channel, like something that like my dad would do, like in the Lost or whatever. It's like, all right, let's like see when the Astros start or something.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that are just like weeping like on their couch, like me and Jake are like Lost. So they're just like different types of fans that just like they don't take it like as seriously as like other fans do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they showed both. Remember they had the two old grandmas like hugging each other. That tears me up. The guy in the bathtub going, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm one of those people that I think I'm always invested in the characters, and I love getting sucked into other people's art.
Mhm.
But that ending is perfect. But I do want to kind of just talk about Cable Guy real quick, because it's kind of a similar ending a little bit. So the movie Truman Show ends with, you know, him exiting the stage, and they cut to the two policemen, and they go, "What else is on?"
Yeah.
Cable Guy, Cable Guy, Jim Carrey destroys the satellite that gives everyone access to cable, like TV and everything. And
Yeah.
they cut to a kind of a similar scene. It's a guy like in a bathtub, and he goes
Oh,
and he opens up a book for the first time, and
randomly, yeah.
Oh yeah.
he gets inspired, so I always kind of like think about those two hand in hand, because it's two Jim Carrey movies.
Mhm.
One of them is he's, in this fake world, and the other one he's like lost in like these different movies as the Cable Guy. So it's really cool to see that, like, kind of that those two versions of Jim Carrey, and
Yeah.
similarly the way the movies end. But I get what you're saying, Rich, that people kind of lose interest, but there's also the different types of people that they just keep it going, and that's why they have like conventions,
Yeah.
like the show Firefly that Josh Whedon created, that is incredible. It's one of my favorite shows ever. So those actors are like 10 years older now, it's still going, and that show was canceled on Fox. So I mean, there's different types of fans out there, and I think that to end it on that last shot with the policeman kind of gave it like a one last little joke, but I would have been okay with that scene taken out. I like
Yeah.
everyone celebrating, that he's like leaving, and I like Sylvia like running out to like go meet him. You don't know what's gonna happen, but your mind just imagines both of them reuniting and living a better life.
Yeah. Now
So
that you bring up Cable Guy, it would have been great to see have an Andy Dick moment on this movie.
Preferred customer, my ass.
yeah, at the
But
end, right?
yeah, at the end, I
when he,
love that part.
and he
But
takes off his wig.
yeah,
Stop your steed.
but to give it a
Eat,
rating,
eat, keep eating.
to give it my rating, it was honestly a 10 out of 10 for me. I love Jim Carrey. Philip Glass. This was my introduction to Philip Glass, and Jared knows how much I love movie scores, and they hit me really hard in this one. It was it just blew my mind. Every scene, especially like the ending and everything, or the emotional parts even before, like the scene whenever he lost his dad, in that scene where they made him scared of water. Just the score itself, it was just fantastic. It just hits you so hard. And like I said, Jim Carrey's one of my favorite actors of all time. So this was a 10 out of 10 for me.
Speaking of the score, like when he's talking to his friend, and his friend is saying, I would never lie to you, and he's lying to
Yeah.
him. Philip Glass is just hitting you with that evil, ominous music.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm
He
just
did
like,
fantastic, man.
oh man, it's so good. So, but for me, it's gonna be a 9 out of 10, just because, like Dave said earlier, the movie starts at like this place where we don't really get to see what the Truman Show was. We get to see how it's falling apart,
Yeah.
literally, like at the seams, and
Yeah.
it's just on it's on red alert mode the whole time for the creators. They're all just so trying to stop Truman the entire movie. So it's a 9 out of 10 just for that, like, kind of reason. Because on the rewatch you really do see how like mean just downright mean the creators are. They
Yeah.
do horrible things to keep
Yeah.
him there, traumatizing things. And if you're invested in Truman and you love him, you it's hard to watch on the rewatch, like when his dad's drowning, and they imagine if your dad died like that, and you
Yeah.
lived with that forever.
And just to
And then you
screw him
see
up,
him at like a bus stop.
yeah, and just to
It's a
screw him up even more, they bring
it's
his
a
father back.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very
Like,
cruel thing.
geez,
It's a
yeah.
super cruel thing. So it's kind of I know it's a little unfair that I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 because of that, because they did the main characters so well.
Mhm.
But that's kind of what happened with like Cersei and Game of Thrones. You just freaking hate her.
Oh yeah,
You hate her so much because she
Dave,
played it
Dave,
so well.
Dave knows
Or
my hate for
Joffrey.
her.
Or
Or
Joffrey, you
Joffrey.
know?
Yeah,
You just hate they did it too well. They made me
Yeah.
hate Kristoff and the creators too well. Even but like Paul Giamatti, he's a saint. He's a saint.
Yeah. You didn't want to do it.
Yeah. God, though, whatever little acting he did in that movie is just perfect.
Mhm.
I love that guy.
Yeah, it's this is on my, it's probably on my Mount Rushmore of like movies, like for real. Like whenever someone just says they just say like Truman Show, I just like hear the music and I can
Yeah.
just feel those deep talks he had like with his friend like on the beach and stuff like that, like on the dock hitting golf balls. Just like stuff like that. If like a movie gives you like that kind of reaction, then you know it just like sits with you. And this is like this this will go with Jurassic Park and stuff like that. You know, just like you can visualize the movie in 5 seconds when someone just like says it's like Truman Show to you.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah. Okay, fellas. So my rating on this.
Hit us.
Listen, this movie. I'm gonna lie, I dozed off a little bit. I mean, I just was not interested in it. I didn't laugh not one bit.
Snoozman show.
Yeah.
Show.
So I hate to do it, but I got to do it. Drop that chain. Drop that chain.
Oh my god.
I'll give it a shower. Give it a shower
Wow.
for me. Chocolate shower.
So is that? I just want to know: is that below a 0 when it gets the
That's
chocolate
just that means that's
Lowest of the
2
low.
hours. That's 2 hours out of my life. I wish I had back.
shower? It's in the
Not even
septic tank.
not even the music did it for you?
Nothing did it for me, man.
Wow.
Sorry, nothing did it for me. It was too fake for me. I got more realism from Fast and the Furious saga.
Don't you do
That's how
that.
bad.
Don't you fucking do that, man.
I got more realism from
The
that.
Fast
This
and
is
the
too
Furious.
fake, too
the-
suburbia for me, man.
I do want
Sorry.
to add
Just
that
too much, man.
as a young lad, and this may like add to why I like this movie so much. It kind of like it guided me into this world. You know, this along with the Matrix trilogy's philosophies on reality and the real world, Truman Show, Dark City, the Matrix trilogies, they were just like these like standout films that made me, you know, feel like there is more to life. So it's one of those like kind of like coming to adulthood kind of stories
Yeah.
for me.
Mm.
Truman never really got to live his life. He had it guided for him from a crazy helicopter parent, basically.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's just incredible. That wallpaper that Richard has on in his background just says it all. Like he's going
it's
into the
iconic.
unknown. He's going
Yeah.
into the unknown.
That's exactly. I was just about to say that too. Like it leaves you thinking, whatever happened to Truman? You know they're never going to make another movie, but it makes you think, how did he do in that real world? Did he meet that girl? Did that girl go meet him? Sylvia, right? That was her name.
Definitely.
Did she go? Did she go and meet him up somewhere? And did they finally meet? Like those are the kind of things
Also-
that get you to think.
where's she running downstairs to? Is she in this facility or does she live in an apartment somewhere?
See, that's one of the things. It's like, where is she coming from?
I like that
Like
open
a question
endedness. Yeah.
Like a question that I've had since I was like 9 years old. I was like,
Yeah.
is she just like on the other side of this wall, like in some little condo or something, or what?
She could be very close by. Yeah. That's what I
Yeah.
feel like.
But yeah, that's like definitely the type of open ending where it gets you it leaves you thinking, what happened, and you'll never know. It's just for you to make up in your head.
Until J.J. Abrams does it in a couple years, then we'll know.
All right, everybody. What do you out there think about this? Leave your comments down below. Did you like the Truman Show? rate it as high as as everybody else but me, or do you have a simple mind like me who has a mind of a 15-year-old that Vic obviously pointed out? He's
When did I
saying
do that?
Don't worry about it. But just leave your comments down below, and we'll have another extremely late review next week, and we'll be talking about The Lost Boys. Will be our next extremely late review. Before we leave, please click that like button, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell. Rich, where can they all find us at?
If you go down to the description of this video, you're going to see a link tree. Click that link and it's going to give you all the access to our Discord. Join our Discord, our Instagram, our Twitch that we're still trying to figure out what to do with. We're gonna do some live streams on there though. We just got to figure out what to do next with that. But yeah, we're on Apple Podcasts and we're on Podomatic. So if you guys are ever on the road and just want to listen, go ahead and subscribe to us on there. But yeah, that's how you follow us.
All right. Well, for everybody here, remember, there can never be enough scoundrels in your life. I like that. That's a good one.